Thank you for joining us on KARE 11, wherever you stream, as we take a look back on a painful day in Twin Cities history. It's been 10 years since Minnesota's own musical icon, Prince, passed away. It's hard to believe it's even been that long. And during this special show, we're going to celebrate his legacy and look at some incredible milestones that have happened since April 21st, 2016. The day authorities responded to a call for help at Paisley Park.
7801 Audubon Road, 7801 Audubon Road, male down, not breathing.
Carver County authorities rushed to Prince's home. They pronounced him dead 19 minutes later at 10:07 on a rainy Thursday morning. And not long after, the news went nationwide.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Harry Smith.
Good day. We are coming on the air with breaking news about the death of an American music icon. Prince, the innovative, one-of-a-kind artist who's given us so much great music over the decades, has been found dead at his Paisley Park compound in suburban Minneapolis. The Purple Rain singer, whose full name is Prince Rogers Nelson, was 57. Prince sold more than 100 million records, won 7 Grammys, a Golden Globe, and an Academy Award, with hits like Little Red Corvette, Purple Rain, Kiss, and When Doves Cry. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame the very first year he was eligible.
And once word got out, a memorial started to grow at Paisley Park as fans from all over the world came to pay their respects to Prince. A one-page autopsy report would later confirm that he died of an accidental overdose of the opioid fentanyl. Now, people, of course, were devastated, from Hollywood stars, politicians, and other musicians, but it hit his fans right here in the Twin Cities the hardest. Take a listen.
No worries, it's just a story. It's not real. He can't die.
I just started crying and screaming in the car going, no, it's not true, it's not true.
Right now I'm just kind of numb.
The news of Prince's death, much like his music, left the world stunned, almost speechless. It's safe to say there will never be another artist quite like Prince. On the day of his death, Rena Sargentopoulos took a look back at his spectacular career.
Prince Rogers Nelson, born June 7, 1958. The pioneer of Minneapolis sound. The always eccentric, wildly talented musician released his first album, For You, in 1978. He quickly followed that up with Dirty Mind, Controversy, and 1999. But it was in 1984 that Prince and the Revolution released Purple Rain and blew people's musical minds. The album sold more than 13 million copies in the U.S. and spent 24 consecutive weeks at #1 on the Billboard 200 chart.
Well, for starters, you have to purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
The movie Purple Rain won Prince an Academy Award for Best Original Sound Score. At one point, Prince had the #1 album, single, and film in the U.S., the first time a singer had ever achieved that feat. Prince worked solo and with different bands and artists over the years, Morris Day and the Time, Sheena Easton, even Madonna. And during his time with the New Power Generation in 1993, he changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol known as the love symbol. He was linked romantically to the likes of Kim Basinger, Sheila E., and Carmen Electra. In 2007, Prince played the halftime show at Super Bowl 41 in Miami. Billboard later called it the greatest Super Bowl performance ever. Prince has sold over 100 million records worldwide. He has 7 Grammys and was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2004. Rolling Stone calls him number 27 on the list of the 100 greatest artists of all time. And we get to call him ours. Prince made Minnesota proud, and now has made Minnesota sad. You will be missed.
And 10 years later, he is still missed, especially by those who knew him best and worked with him. Bobby Z met Prince in the late 70s and became his drummer with the Revolution. Bobby, thank you for coming in and reflecting on Prince today.
My pleasure.
So as we sit here on this 10th anniversary, what are your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions on the anniversary of his death?
You know, looking back at the clips and just his life and it's just still unbelievable the amount of lives and people he touched in so many different ways. And the depth of that, the emotion of that, these songs became life cycle events on their own. You know, people, we relate to Party like it's, you know, blank. You know, that's just become part of our culture, and it's still hard to believe. He was this young man with a drive like I've never seen, and skills like unimaginable, really, for us mere mortals to see. Even when I saw it every day, it's still unimaginable to watch him play these instruments in front of you, write these songs in front of you. It's a staggering loss. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I think we're lucky that we had him at all.
Very, very lucky. You knew him as well as anybody. Who was Prince Rogers Nelson personally to you?
Well, he was a young man, you know, like myself, looking to be a musician in the streets of Minneapolis, which was not the easiest thing to do, especially in the winter, hauling around gear. But, you know, if you're dedicated, you do it. I met Andre and Prince, and the three of us became incredible friends and musicians. You know, they took this so seriously. There was just a real difference from all the other musicians I played with. This was like life and death. Playing music was life and death.
What does it mean to see him still be relevant? I mean, we talked about Stranger Things, the musical, which you were heavily involved in. How cool is that to see, especially younger generations embracing him?
I think it's wonderful. It's fantastic, and he deserves that. And you know, much like the Beatles, it should be generational. I believe that his music and his persona and his artistic entertainment, I think he was the greatest entertainer of all time on stage. You know, I think people need to see that, remember this individual as somebody who was Mozart, Beethoven, Shakespeare.
Any final thoughts here as we wrap this up and reflect on it?
Well, we'll celebrate him again, you know, in June, first week of June, the celebration, and members of the MPG and the Revolution and all kinds of fun people, or Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis, come together, and we'll celebrate him once again, this time for 10 years.
Yeah, you know, here in Minnesota, we celebrate him basically every day.
Yeah, let's all do it. You know, like Vienna for Mozart, we've got Prince.
A true artist. Bobby, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank
you so much. A lot has happened in the 10 years since Prince died. It's bittersweet that we'll never know his thoughts on some of these milestones, one of them happening outside of his home and world-famous recording studio. A portion of Highway 5 that runs right past Paisley Park is now known as Prince Rogers Nelson Memorial Highway. The new signs went up in the summer of 2023, and of course, as you can see, they're purple. We decided to take a ride down the highway with Prince's big sister Sharon in, of course, a little red Corvette. So what we're doing right now is what he'd be doing.
That's right.
That would be his creative process.
The trouble with Prince, when he was driving, he was looking at all the pretty girls. And I said, Prince, you've got to concentrate on driving.
An experience of a lifetime for sure, driving around with Sharon. We eventually pulled into Paisley Park and continued our chat. And Sharon told us she misses her brother every day. We all do, no doubt. Now, just a year later, an even bigger milestone. Purple Rain celebrated its 40th anniversary. Back in 1984, not many people predicted the small budget film out of Minnesota to be a big hit, but boy, were they wrong. Here's Chris Rapsky.
On August 3rd, 1983, Prince and the Revolution played a charity gig at First Avenue, introducing a never-before-heard song called Purple Rain. 3 songs from this live performance were used on the album.
Purple rain,
to be made into a movie that would rock the world.
The idea of the film came first.
Revolution keyboardist Matt Fink remembers Prince's plan.
First he put it like, so how do you feel about possibly doing a movie as a group? He asked me this first. I said, well, that's interesting.
Riding the success of the album 1999, this idea of a film loosely based on Prince's own story was a gamble.
First of all, nobody thought it was going to be a big deal. If people thought that Purple Rain was going to be Purple Rain, no, nobody knew that it was going to be Purple Rain.
The film's assistant director, Craig Rice, recalls problems from the start.
The producers had never produced before, the director had never directed before, so there was a lot of sort of tension and issues.
Perhaps none bigger than the Minnesota cold.
First of all, it was November and it was freezing. So a lot of the exterior stuff, Prince had a scuba diving suit underneath his clothes to keep him warm.
Well, for starters, you have to purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
And even when we did the Apollonia, we had to have skin divers under the water when she jumped in, just in case she got the hypothermia, they could get her out. And we had a warming tent right off.
It was that cold?
Oh yeah, it was freezing.
She cold plunged?
Oh yeah, she did. She did it. I gotta give her credit for that. She was a pro.
How can you do that to me?
After 7 weeks in the cold, filming wrapped. 6 months later, the album is released. A month after that, the film debuts.
His Royal Badness.
And Prince's pet project,
Prince,
paid off.
I think it was elated. I think that everybody was excited, and it just blew up.
It teaches you that the big wigs at the top don't always know what's going to fly.
On to 2025 now. Purple Rain went from the silver screen to the stage right here in the Twin Cities. Purple Rain, the musical, opened at the State Theater that fall. The musical was based on the original screenplay of the blockbuster film. Longtime Prince collaborators, Bobby Z, who you just saw here, and Morris Hayes were part of the creative team bringing the play to life.
All I want is to spend the night together. All I want is to spend the night in your arms.
Now, the musical received mixed reviews, but I was there on opening night. I saw people dancing in the aisles, singing. There were tears being shed. I think Prince would have been proud. So this next thing is kind of mind-blowing. In January, Prince became a household name for a whole new generation of kids. They learned about his music by watching the hit series Stranger Things, and they are loving him. Purple Rain and When Doves Cry aired in the season 5 finale of the show. Overnight, both became anthems for Gen Zers. Variety magazine says Purple Rain streams on Spotify went up nearly 600% with that age group, and the song When Doves Cry shot up more than 1,000%. And on top of all that, Prince is blowing up TikTok. The official Prince site has nearly 5 million likes and 600,000 followers, many of them younger fans. Experts say TikTok is like a bridge, and once Gen Z and Alpha walk across it and discover Prince, they are stunned. A lot of them asking the same question: this kind of stuff was happening in the 80s? Oh, they're referring to Prince's defiance of gender norms, flashy, androgynous fashion, and use of that non-binary love symbol instead of his name, among other things. Many in Gen Z and Gen Alpha feel like he was ahead of his time, and they feel a deep connection to him. And of course, they're in awe of his talent and creativity, and so are we. Thank you for watching and remembering Prince, his life, and his legacy. After 10 years, it is still hard to believe he's gone, but he lives on through his music here and in the Twin Cities and around the world. And for that, Prince Rogers Nelson, we thank you.